Hi, I'm Astrologer Penny Dix. Welcome, Virgo, to your astrological overview for the year of 2025 to give you all the tips that you need and the heads up to cope with the energies, the twists and turns that life presents us with for the year of 2025. And this reading is for the Sun in Virgo, the rising sign in Virgo, also known as the ascendant, and some people like to listen to their moon sign. So if you have your moon in Virgo, you may also listen to this, and it might be helpful for you to pick up certain tips that you think, oh yeah, that means something. Now, Virgo, how are you? Because we have been through the most extraordinary astrological energies since really the beginning of 2020. And this is the decade where the astrology just keeps on giving. It just goes on. And we've got another year of action-packed energy, twists and turns, some obstacles, some difficulties, but you know what? They are what I like to say. They are from the divine and they are course directions. And if we take notice of the blocks and obstacles along the way, it can really clarify where we're going forwards to and slow us down at the right time to make the better decisions for the highest good of ourselves and the highest good of others. But what's happening to you this year? Let's have a look, because we've had a lot of energy with the big outer planets, as I fondly like to call them, my good old big boys. Now, what's so interesting this year is that, first of all, we've got all the major outer planets have either changed signs or are about to. So this is a year of change, and change in the kind of energies and elements, because we've had quite a lot of earth energy. We've had Uranus in Taurus, which is an earth sign, and we've had Pluto for about 18, 19 years in the sign of Capricorn, which is another earth sign. And Pluto has really wreaked havoc throughout the planet as it moves towards changing everything that we are familiar with into something new and more appropriate for where we are moving towards. Now, both Uranus and Pluto are moving into air signs. Pluto has already moved into Aquarius. He moved in on November the 19th, 2024. Now, this is your sixth house. Let's just have a quick look at this first, because you're going to have Pluto here for 20 years. Now, if some of you know a little bit about astrology, please don't go, oh no, not my sixth house. Oh my God, that's so terrible. Because as you know, it is a Virgo house, and Virgos worry and Virgos suffer from anxiety. And of course, this for you though is Aquarius. And Aquarius is about thinking outside the box. It's about the community at large. It's also about actually kind of tuning in your frequencies to rise above that which can drag you down into that kind of pit and pool of anxiety. Now, you're an earth sign, Virgo, but you're also mutable. So you can be flexible and change. And Pluto in Aquarius is inviting you to transform, to change the whole way you run your day-to-day routine, for example. The way you are of service to others, because this is the house of service. And Virgo is a sign that wants to care for others. And, a lot of the helping professions will have Virgo as a prominent sign in their chart. And Pluto in this sign is also asking you to be mindful of your health, because the sixth house is also about health. But I don't want you to worry about this, because because it's Aquarius, I think it's more that you're going to, if you're not careful, get burnout and stressed by coping with the kind of technology and how you get your brain wrapped round it all, especially if you are of mature years. And so it's, you know, because technology is going to just go to another level over this year. We really are going to see big changes. And I think the thing with technology is that we have to invite it in and embrace it, because if we don't, it's going to eat us up. It's going to leave us well and truly behind. So we have to keep our brains ticking over. And we have to, even if we have to go on a course to learn about how to use new pieces of technology that come out, or equipment, or you get someone to show you how to use whatever particular program it is on your laptop or your tablet or your phone that you can't get your head round. And Virgo, you know, with Pluto in this part of your zodiac, it's really the most likely health issues are going to be psychologically, in terms of anxiety causing other things because of worry. And what I'm saying is Pluto is actually giving you a heads up and saying, transform this energy. Use it to work on an inner level, so that it would be a really good time for you, Virgo, with this energy to, if you haven't already, then find a therapist, find a really good life coach, find a therapist that helps you really know and understand and work with yourself and the energies. That would be a good use of this energy. Let's have a quick look at Uranus, because Uranus rules Aquarius. Uranus is the planet of innovation, of invention, of freedom of speech, of rebellion. And you've had Uranus in Taurus in your 9th house of higher learning, higher education, and also this is the house of long distance travel. It's also the house of truth and kind of reaching resolutions around spiritual truths. And Uranus has helped you raise your frequency. And I think in some ways, Virgo, it's almost been a little bit unsettling for you, because I think it's almost like blinking on and blinking off into a different reality, and suddenly seeing the world or the planet and the universe as a kind of 4 or 5 dimensional kind of construct, and not everything as flat and what we see, feel, hear and touch. And I think Uranus in this part of the chart has been helping you with this, and helping you and probably encouraging you to learn more and understand more about how these other technologies, or rather spiritual ways of connection, work, looking for the evidence. Now, Uranus is going to be just testing out the waters of your 10th house. And it doesn't fully move into your 10th house Gemini until 2026. But whilst it hovers on what we call the MC, which is the mid-heaven of your chart, which represents actually you being out in the public eye, then it's really going to kind of, supposing you have been working on a project, or there is something that you've just not been able to complete. This could see you completing it this year and thinking, I think I'm ready to go public with this. Could be something you've been working on, something you've been writing, something creative, or even something scientific, because it's Uranus and that could be what that's about. And I think that there is some resolution that comes with Uranus just pushing itself across your midheaven into your 10th house, which is Gemini, but it's the house of what we're passionate about. It's also, for you, it's about communication. You want to communicate your ideas. You want to show people how you see the world, how things work, your understanding of things, your kind of unique connection with the divine intelligence, that you can convey your ideas, inventiveness and thought to the collective. And it's moving into this part of your chart on that midheaven between July and November. So you will get a taste in those months of what to expect when Uranus actually fully moves into Gemini in your 10th house in 2026. And then, and what I want to say is Gemini, you see, is an air sign. So you see how we're moving from earth to air, because Uranus has been in Taurus in your 9th house, earth. You're Virgo, you're earth. Gemini is air. Now, the other planet that is moving into an air, or moving from an air sign into a water sign, is Jupiter, our planet of expansion, of luck, of opportunity. And Jupiter has been in your 10th house for about a year, which is the part of your chart to do with your passion, your direction in life, your soul path. And even if you're retired, it still has been firing you up with plans and ideas of what you want to do. You know, nobody should ever think of reaching a point where they retire nowadays. We should just see ourselves changing what we've been doing perhaps for a lifetime, which may not have been our passion, but it's paid the bills and now it's provided us with a pension. And now we can do our passion and put it out there in the public domain. So Jupiter has been in the air sign of Gemini for about a year, and it's going to move into your 11th house of hopes and wishes, projects that you've got, dreams. And this is a water sign, Cancer, and it's going to move in there on the 9th of June. Now, when it moves into your 11th house, which is Cancer, this is going to have you thinking more about focusing your energies on home and family and plans to maybe travel with them or travel to see them, because remember, Jupiter is about travel. It likes to go, to move, to fly, to get out of wherever you are and be somewhere else. And so I think there is some of that energy is going to be around for you. It may also be family visiting you and enjoying their company. And then we need to also look at Neptune and Saturn, because of course they've been in Pisces, your opposite sign, your 7th house of significant relationships. Neptune's been there forever, and Saturn has been there for nearly 3 years. And they're both at the sort of anaretic degree of your 7th house. And Neptune has made you very confused and sort of caused illusion and confusion and disillusion, dissolution and disillusion. And some of you may have found relationships, if they weren't based on a firm foundation, have just kind of fizzled away, have just disappeared in that Neptunian fog. So it's been very challenging for you, Virgo, having Neptune in this part of your chart for so long. I mean, the one thing it's probably helped you with is that it's given you the chance to trust your intuition more with choosing a partner, or with reading or understanding your partner if you are in a long-term relationship. But I don't think things will have been easy over the last few years because of Neptune's presence in this part of your chart. Now, Saturn here Saturn, remember, is the planet of boundaries, rules, containment, structure, but it's also the planet of timing. It's also about commitment and beginnings and endings. So as Saturn has transited your 7th house, it has brought up issues of, do I want to stay with this person or not? If not, we either separate or we make some very big changes, because otherwise I can't continue like this. So there could have been a lot of that kind of energy around. Some of you will have been through situations with relationships that have ended, but also, interestingly, some of you will have made firm commitments in relationships, because you will have transformed a relationship that was kind of neither here nor there, and a bit here and a bit there and a bit all over the place because of Neptune, making everything a bit foggy and unclear. And you've actually made a commitment. And that may actually not be happening till around now, because Neptune and Saturn are right at that anaretic degree of Pisces. And they're going to be having a flavor and giving you a taste of what it's going to feel like when they move into your 8th house fully in 2026. So for now, they are just going to flirt with your 8th house Aries in April, May and June. Now we need to think about this, because your 8th house is the part of your chart that is to do with joint finance, to do with tax and all those kinds of things, and stocks and shares, anything like that. It's also the house of beginnings and endings, death and rebirth. But it's also the house where we can transform, because by Zodiac, it's a Scorpio house. So it has a very deep side to it. It has what we might say a dark shadow side to it. And these two energies are going to be at the beginning of your 8th house. Neptune and Saturn, this tension of two opposites. Saturn wanting to put structure into Neptune's waftiness, and Neptune just going, oh, let's just see how it goes. Let's just see how it unfolds. And that will cause you anxiety, Virgo, because Virgo, you like things clear-cut, clean, and to see how things are going to unfold. But that's going to be around that energy in April, May and June. And what it's doing is preparing you for 2026, because they get conjunct in around February 2026. And then by then, you will have worked through a lot of these feelings and emotions and energies to get to the point where you are actually able to use these energies in a good and constructive way. Now let's move on to our retrogrades for the year. You see, I told you this is the year that just keeps giving. The astrology is action-packed. Now Mercury, our planet of communication and thinking, and your ruling planet, Mercury went direct in December 2024 on I think it's the 15th, in the sign of Sagittarius, which is your 4th house of home and family. And whilst it was retrograde, I think you were probably just giving it a bit of a spring clean and thinking, you know how we sit sometimes in our room and we look around and we think, I think I'd like to move that painting over there. And I think perhaps I'd like to put that there. And maybe actually we could put the television into a different corner and have the sofas here. So there may have been a little bit of that going on. But anyway, you've got it all sorted out by Christmas. And then on January the 1st, Mercury is still in Sagittarius, but it's at 19 degrees. So it's moving forwards again. And then it moves forwards and it has another retrograde on March the 15th in your 8th house Aries. Now, when it's here, remember, it's also going to be around the time that you've got Neptune and Saturn there. So you'll be aware of that kind of tension. But this Mercury retrograde is going to give you an opportunity to just be mindful and think, to collect your thoughts, to sit with it, and maybe sort of make a list, make some notes, just look at what you could do to just make it a little bit more kind of user-friendly, if you know what I mean. So that energy is going to be around. Then it will go direct on April the 7th, but it will have moved back into your 7th house. And that, of course, is Pisces. And whilst it's back in Pisces, it's giving you a chance to reflect a bit, to reflect on what has gone on in your close personal relationships, and maybe have some of those difficult discussions that you've not had. So that may be around at that time of year, and it goes direct on April the 7th. Then we have another retrograde in your 12th house, which of course is Leo. And Mercury goes retrograde on July the 18th at 15 degrees of Leo. Now, of course, as you know, the 12th house is very much a house of inner reflection, the psyche, the soul. This is also where you can feel, I've got to get out of here. I've had enough. I'm just really fed up and I want to get out. And what's going to happen with this retrograde is actually you're just going to go, actually, you know what? It's July, because it's July the 18th it goes retrograde. And it doesn't go direct to the 11th of August. You think, it's summer. I think I'll just relax. I know in the Southern Hemisphere it's winter, but, I do bear you in mind in Australia and New Zealand. I do think about you. Please trust me that I do. But for the Northern Hemisphere, it's summer. In the Southern Hemisphere, you might be snuggling up around a nice cozy fire or campfires and just really enjoying looking at the stars and looking at the flames as they crackle. Fire is very attractive, isn't it, to look at. And it will go direct on the 11th, it will go direct on the 11th of August at 4 degrees of Leo. And then we have one more retrograde for Mercury this year, and it's in Sagittarius, which again is your 4th house. And it actually retrogrades back into Scorpio, which is your 3rd house of communication and thought. But Mercury goes retrograde on November the 9th in your 4th house at 6 degrees. So round about the end of 2025, again, I think you're going to be doing a little bit of connecting with family that you haven't seen for some time, even if it's just over the internet. But, it's Sagittarius, so it wouldn't surprise me if either family come to visit you from wherever they live, especially if it's at a distance, or you go to visit them. And then by the 29th of November, when Mercury will go direct in Scorpio at 20 degrees in your 3rd house, you will probably be on your way back to home base. And whilst Mercury is direct in Scorpio, just watch that tongue of yours, Virgo, because sometimes you can just be a little bit sharp, especially with Scorpio. Yes, I know you can see it how it is, Virgo, but sometimes we just have to keep quiet because, sometimes it hurts others and we don't want that, do we, Virgo? Because then you know what happens? You start worrying about it because you overthink it and you think, I really shouldn't have said that. I really shouldn't have said that. That was very silly. I shouldn't have done that at all. And then you get yourselves into a bit of a knickers in the twist kind of sort of time. Now let's move on to the next retrograde. Yes, we've got 2 more to go. We've got Mars. Mars is the planet of action, energy, assertion, also the god of war, arguments. And Mars goes retrograde in your 12th house. Remember, this is the navel gazing house. This is where we sit with our inner selves. And it goes retrograde at 1 degree of Leo. And this, it's actually going to be retrograde already from 2024. I forgot that. And it will be on January the 1st, retrograde still in your 12th house. And it actually goes retrograde all the way through to your 11th house. And that's the part of the chart for you, which is about your connection with the wider community, your hopes, your dreams, your ideas, your plans. And it goes direct on the 17th of February. So it's quite a long retrograde. And then it will be in its shadow. Sorry, it goes direct on the 24th of February at 17 degrees of Cancer. I'm getting that, I'm doing dyslexia with the numbers as I've got them all written down. And so it's actually the 24th it goes direct, but it will be in its shadow zone for quite some time. So you are going to have this energy around in your 11th house as you really get quite energized about the plans that you've got, projects for the future. And then you will do some reflection when it moves back into your 12th house. Finally, we have Venus. Now, Venus, our planet of love, relationship, our goddess of love. You remember Aphrodite rising out of the foam in a beautiful shell, that beautiful painting by Botticelli, I think. And, you know, it really epitomizes this kind of Venusian energy. It is beauty. It is love. It is self-respect and self-worth. It's self-confidence. It's also about our financial accruement, what we have in our piggy bank, how we manage it. And Venus is having a retrograde. And you know, these planets like Mars and Venus don't retrograde necessarily every year. Often it's only every other year. But Venus is retrograding on March the 2nd in Aries, which is your 8th house. So you've got quite a lot going on in your 8th house this year. And it's at 10 degrees. Now, of course, this is the part of the chart that being opposite the 2nd house, which is your finance and your economy, you are going to be looking very seriously in March and April at your financial situation and your joint finances and how you can improve them, build them, find a way to tweak the energy and just make it a little bit more buoyant. And it goes direct, though. It actually retrogrades all the way into your 7th house of significant relationships, bringing some light relief into relationships that may have got a bit samey or may have just been a little bit challenging. It can also bring in a new relationship when it's in your 7th house, if that is something that you're in the market for, Virgo. And it goes direct on the 24th of February, and it actually, it doesn't. I've dyslexically gone up a line. It goes direct in your 7th house on the 13th of April at 24 degrees of Pisces. Got it right. It's because when you do a whole batch of videos, it's kind of like, I mean, for Virgo, this would be a nightmare. I think you would take forever because you like everything to be perfect and exact. And if you're a regular viewer of my channel, you'll know I leave all the mistakes in. I don't edit them. I used to, and it used to take me forever. Not that I've got Virgo particularly emphasized in my chart, but I am quite fussy as a Taurus and a Leo ascendant, and I do like things to be perfect. But you know what? I've got to the point where I think, you know, it is what it is, and it shows you I'm human. So, you know, sometimes my eyes drift up to the wrong line. But now I'm going to come on, while I continue to witter, I'm coming on to eclipses. Because yes, we have eclipses this year, but only 2 sets of 2. So the nodes, the North Node, which is our karmic destiny, where we are moving towards, the particular choice of timeline that we choose to follow, is changing signs, along with the South Node, which is our karmic past. It's the lessons we've learned. It's what we're bringing into this life. And first of all, let me explain what a solar eclipse is, because I tell you what, I did this for the first couple of videos. I got it totally wrong. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to leave it. And just, you know, if people want to correct me in the comments, I thought, so be it. Because these are long, as you're noticing, these videos, and time is short, and I'm already in the 28th of November as we speak. And so I've got to get them done. So anyway, let me explain what a solar eclipse is, because then I sort of added extra information into my star sign notes, you see. So a solar eclipse is an eclipse of the sun. It's a new moon, and this is when the moon moves between the sun and the earth, blocks out the sun's rays, casts a shadow on parts of the earth. And you know, if we have a total solar eclipse, that's when it just goes all dark, which is fascinating. I've experienced one eclipse. It was I think it was in 1999, and it was amazing. And it was in August, and I remember it, and it was absolutely fabulous. And anyway, and then a lunar eclipse is when we have a full moon. So a lunar eclipse takes place when the earth comes between the sun and the moon, and its shadow covers the moon. So the earth's shadow covers the moon. So there are times with a full moon lunar eclipse when the moon actually looks as if it's red. And that's when the eclipse reaches its totality. Now, back to where the nodes are and why they are relevant, because they're not space objects. They are the ecliptic path. They're a point where the moon and the earth and the sun all kind of connect. There's a line between the sun, the moon, the earth, and that gives us the nodal axis. So we have one eclipse that is still in Aries, because we've had the axis of Aries Libra for about the last 18 months. And we have one more in Aries. But before we have that, so that the nodes are actually going to move, because they move backwards, they're moving into Virgo and Pisces. Now, on March the 14th, we have a total lunar eclipse in Virgo, your sign. So it's in your first house. This is super exciting. And it's at 23 degrees and 58 minutes. So you're going to be making in March some big decisions about you, what you want to do, how you want to appear to people, how you want to come across in life. And it's a bit like, enough of that, that's the old me, this is the new me. Then by the 29th of March, of course, we get the new moon, and it's a partial solar eclipse. And this is the one that is still in Aries, and that's why it's partial. And it's in Aries, which is your 8th house. Remember, that's the house of transformation, the house of joint finance, and anything that you like, stocks and shares and all that kind of stuff, money saved, pensions, also the house of transformation. And the solar eclipse is in Aries at 8 degrees and 53 minutes. Now the next, and that's on March the 29th. Now the next pair of eclipses are in September. And these are when the nodes have fully moved into Pisces and Virgo. So on September the 7th, we get a total lunar eclipse. So that's a full moon in Pisces at 15 degrees and 24 minutes. Now this is your 7th house. You remember how I was saying earlier about you making decisions about relationships and either making commitments or ending certain relationships because. Well, this lunar eclipse on the 7th could see you making a decision around that time, either to change the whole nature of the relationship or to just bring it to a conclusion. So that is one timeline that could unfold for you with this energy. And then on September the 21st, we have a new moon partial solar eclipse. And this is in Virgo, your house again, your first house, at 28 degrees and 59 minutes. So this is pretty cool because this is like you're getting all these new opportunities, a lot of change for you this year, Virgo. I mean, there is a lot of change for all the signs, for all of us collectively, because of the extraordinary astrological energies we've got. But, you know, with having the eclipses in your sign, that's kind of super powerful. It kind of emphasizes the energy and really, you know, actually kind of just impresses on it a bit more. And so we have that in your 7th house. And as I said, then we have this on the 21st of September, the new moon solar eclipse partial in your house at 28 degrees and 59 minutes. So now finally we move on to just one or two of the major transits, because as I said, this is a long reading. There's a lot of information to get out. First, I want you to think back to November 2024, around the beginning when we had the US election. So 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th of November. Mars was in the last degrees of Cancer, and it was in the and Pluto was in the last degrees of Capricorn. And the tension of these two planets was extraordinary. Collectively, you can remember there was a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear that there may be problems and rebellions and people fighting, and there was all the sort of difficulties with whatever was going on in Ukraine and the Middle East. So there was a lot of tension. Now this energy we have again, but the planets have changed signs, which is super interesting. So what we have is Mars has moved into Leo, and it's in your 12th house. Now this is where you keep your private self, and it's opposite Pluto in Aquarius, and this is in your where is it? Hang on, in your 6th house, okay? And so you've got this tension between the 12th and the 6th, and it's on the 3rd of January. So around the beginning of the year, you've got this tension of Mars in Leo. You just think of that, fire in fire. There's something boiling away inside you that really needs to be released. And that Pluto tension opposite, it really wants, it's either going to blow, you're either blowing a fuse because you just lose it with yourself even, or with someone, or you start throwing things around the house. But just watch that energy, because it's like there's something that you're not dealing with. And if you deal with this energy, then you can transform the whole situation. Now, this gets resolved. So do not worry if things are a little bit challenging around the beginning of the year, because by April the 27th, we get yet another exact opposition between Mars in Leo in your 12th and Pluto in Aquarius in your 6th. This time you resolve it. You resolve it amicably and in a way that gives you peace of mind. So that's the first thing I want to tell you about. Now, the next thing I want to tell you about is Saturn and Neptune, whom are going to be moving into your 8th house from your 7th house, they are going to give you this feeling of what it's going to be like when you have Saturn, the planet of restriction, and Neptune, the planet of being all over the place, in your 8th house, the planet of transformation. You know, it's all a bit of a kind of a, hot pot really, isn't it? And in April and May, they won't be exact, but you'll get a flavour of what to expect in 2026, especially around February 2026. So that will be helpful. Then we need to also look at Uranus. Uranus, our planet of the unexpected, of rebellion, of freedom, freedom of speech, of technology, and of the larger community and connecting with those higher frequencies. At this point, it's in Taurus, and it's making a lovely sextile to Saturn, now back in Pisces, in your 7th house of significant relationships, April, June, and July. Now, I think there'll be some nice travel going on there, perhaps unexpected. I think you'll be off somewhere, perhaps some quite long distance travel that is just exciting and you really enjoy. And then you've also got Neptune and Saturn making a sextile to Pluto in Aquarius in your 6th, and that is in April, May, and June. And that is where Pluto is going to be trying to help you transform the tension between Saturn and Neptune and try and find the middle ground with Neptune that's making your brain all foggy and thinking, I can't work this out. It's too hard. It has to go on the too hard to understand pile. You know what you're like, Virgo. You can. Just apply yourself. Slow down. Saturn is helping you slow down, and you'll do it. And then Uranus in Gemini, because remember, Uranus moves into the air sign of Gemini, your 10th house of career, will sextile Neptune in Aries in your 8th house in June, July, August, and September. Sextiles are really helpful. They give us kind of helpful opportunities. And so anything that has been worrying you to do with joint finance and tax and anything like that is going to be helped in unexpected ways by thoughtful communication and going back over and looking at the paperwork associated with it. Now, both Saturn and Neptune in Aries make, which is your 8th house of transformation and the paperwork and all of that stuff, are going to be making a hard square to Jupiter, our planet of opportunity and expansion, in Cancer. And that's in your 11th house of your hopes and wishes and dreams. And this is in June and July. Now, don't worry about this square. Squares actually ought to be viewed as good and positive because they are giving you a heads up. They're giving you a course direction about the fact that you're going down this time thinking, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. It's going to be great. It's all going to work out. And they're going, hang on a minute, because things will be happening, saying, have you thought maybe, just maybe, there is a better way to do what you're planning? So you might have to allow the input of others to help you get through this particular tricky time in the middle of the summer, in June, July. And then we've got finally a lovely trine between Saturn in Pisces, trining Jupiter in Cancer. And that's October, November, December. Now, what Saturn will be doing is actually bringing you together in the relationships that you have, especially if you have a significant other. And the other, the significant friendship, relationship that you have will be giving you some help with a project that is very dear to your heart, and so that you won't feel so alone with it. And interestingly, Pluto in Aquarius in your 6th house of health, service to others, and your day-to-day routine is trining Uranus back in Taurus at this point in your 9th house of travel, also in October, November and December. So I think there could be a bit of travel this year, and I think that it would be good for you. It will kind of clear your mind. It's like you need some different scenery. If you're somewhere kind of fairly flat, you need to see mountains and hills. If you're somewhere where there are mountains and hills, you need to see the flat, and you need to see the oceans and lovely different scenery. So there's going to be a need, I think, for you, Virgo, to travel this year and just get a sense of different scenery, different temperatures, different climates, different cultures. I think you will have quite a thirst for that. So we bring ourselves to the end of your 2025 overview. Thank you so much for joining me for this quite long overview. They're all about the same length. I haven't managed to get any of them any shorter, but there is a lot of information that I want to get across, and it might be good to go through again, listen and just make a note of the significant dates, because I do, to the best of my ability, give the dates and the months when these things are happening, so that you can kind of put it in your calendar, so you have a heads up well ahead. And I will, of course, be looking at all these transits in depth throughout the year. And if you know your chart well, you'll be able to pick up from whether I'm talking about 6th house, 8th house, 7th house, whatever it is I'm talking about, you'll be able to pick it up. I'm sorry that I don't do the individual zodiac signs every month, but you see how much work it is? I can't do it. I don't have the stamina. So I am going to go back to doing some astrobites. There'll only probably be 2 or 3 a week, but I am going to be doing them. And that will start from January. And there'll still be my weekly updates in my live streams, and the full moons and the new moons and the months ahead. So plenty to come on the channel. And thank you so much for supporting the channel. And on that note, please remember to like, comment and subscribe to me, please. And thank you so much for joining me. I really wish you a blessed and happy 2025. And I look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Bye for now.